In this video, we look at 4 different types of crisis scenarios that are possible for a company to face, and we will also explain 12 strategies that companies can undertake and they can efficiently utilize in order to respond and manage this crisis. Of course, that for a company, the most 3 important elements that it wants to protect are its image, its reputation, and its income. Of course that for a company there are 3 important aspects it wants to protect: its image, its reputation, and its income. However, depending on the type of crisis it might face, for example, if we talk about terrorism with faux-pas, with accidents, or with transgressions, companies can face real issues. They can face natural disasters, they can face acts of terrorism, there can actually be real victims, not just the damage for the image or for the income of the company. And in this type of scenarios, companies need to know how to communicate effectively, because they will need to share information about what is happening, what it has done to remediate the damages, and we will talk about this right now, about the 12 communication strategies and about the 4 types of different crisis scenarios. When we talk about communicating, and in this case communicating about something important such as response in type of a crisis scenario, you need to know about framing. I've created a video right here about framing, how companies and how news organizations have framing and how they utilize it in order to make the message sound in a certain way that of course benefits them. And of course that depending on the answer the company comes out with, they will be judged, and maybe they can get benefits from it to its reputation and image, or the image and reputation can be seriously damaged if the response is not according to the gravity of the issue. And of course that when a company has to deal with a crisis, it needs to know how much there is to blame on the company, because this is actually important for companies. It's not the gravity of the crisis per se, it's actually how people believe that company influenced the crisis. If the stakeholders consider that the company is a big contributor, then it has a huge responsibility to come out with an answer. If people believe the company is not at fault for the crisis, well, you know, sometimes you do bad things and you're not caught, and sometimes you do good things and people believe that you do bad things. However, let's see the 4 possible crisis scenarios that a company might face. In order to do this, we will use the crisis type matrix, where crisis expert Timothy Coombs defines 4 types of crisis based on 2 dimensions. It can be either internal or external, and it can be intentional or unintentional. The internal-external dimensions refer to whether a crisis resulted from something done by the organization itself, like actions of employees or decisions of manager, or if it was caused by a person or a group outside the organization. The intentional-unintentional dimension refers to the controllability of the crisis. Intentional means that the crisis event was committed deliberately by some actor, and unintentional means that the crisis event was not committed deliberately by some actor. The 4 types of crisis that a company might face are: a faux pas is an unintentional action which is transformed into a crisis by an external factor. It often begins as an issue between an organization and a particular external factor who challenges the appropriateness of the organization's actions. When the organization does not engage in debate with the actor, or when the public opinion and stakeholder expectations move against the company, issues might turn into a crisis. Therefore, social responsibility tends to be the focal point of most faux pas. Accidents are unintentional and happening during the course of normal organizational operations. For example, we talk about product defects, employee injuries, and natural disasters are all examples of accidents. The unintentional and general random nature of accidents often leads to attributions of minimal organizational responsibility unless it was directly responsible for the actions. Therefore, accidents can be divided into acts of nature, for example, hurricanes, epidemics, earthquakes, and human-induced errors such as industrial accidents. Transgressions are unintentional acts taken by an organization that knowingly place stakeholders or publics at risk or harm, knowingly selling defective or dangerous products without safety information from authorities, violating laws, or creative bookkeeping are examples of transgressions. And finally, terrorism refers to intentional acts taken by external agents. These intentional actions are designed to harm the organization directly or indirectly. Examples are product tampering, hostage-taking, sabotage, and workplace violence. This is why the crisis expert categorized the crisis scenarios into 4 categories, and depending if it was caused by somebody internal or external to the company, and if it was caused intentional or unintentional. The most important principle for deciding the best communication strategy in case of a response is deciding and understanding how culpable the organization is, not in reality, but in the perception of stakeholders. So, in other words, how blamable do stakeholders believe that the company is for what happened? In this table, we can observe 12 different communication strategies that may be approached and used depending on the response needed. We will first of all discuss the main categories of strategies. In case you don't know about the 4 types of scenarios that can happen that can determine a crisis for the company, I recommend you watch this video first, where I've expressed all there is to know about the faux-pas, the terrorism, the accidents and transgressions, which are the 4 main categories of crisis that a company can face, and then come back to watch this video to know how to answer or how to respond to this type of crisis. When the perception of organizational responsibility is low or weak, the organization may use a distance strategy to further weaken the linkage between the crisis and the organization. Alternatively, the company might follow an association strategy to remind stakeholders and the general public of the past good behavior that may offset the negative that the crisis brings to the organization. When the perception of organizational responsibility for a faux pas is high or strong, an organization will have to follow an acceptance or accommodation strategy. Besides apologizing for the crisis and openly accepting the blame, this may also include remediation, so giving compensation to victim, or rectification, which is taking corrective action to prevent the crisis from happening again. The natural accidents are unintentional and out with the control of organizations. Such accidents can therefore be easily responded to with a distancing strategy which serves to reinforce the organization's lack of direct responsibility for the crisis. In case of human error accidents, they are more difficult to justify and will require an apology from the organization and an admission that will take action to prevent recurrence from the crisis in the future. Transgressions are intentional actions taken by organizations which make organizations directly responsible for their impact. Organizations need to follow an acceptance strategy where they admit their response but work to atone for crisis in some fashion. Finally, terrorist attacks are directed at the organization by external agents and are often there is very little directional responsibility or culpability for the organization. One may therefore adopt a suffering strategy which portrays the organization as an unfair victim of some malicious outdoor action. As you can see in the image, there are multiple strategies under these categories, and depending on the type of crisis you deal with, you decide the best category of strategy you can use, and then you decide the specific action and the specific strategy. Another very important aspect once a crisis has been identified or once a crisis is happening is to control the information. As a company, you want to control the information that the stakeholder know and also to control the information that you give to the stakeholders in case of a crisis. These effective criteria of controlling the information can be crucial for the success of managing a crisis. This was everything for this video. I hope it helped you understand how organizations should react to different types of crises. I hope you understood that there are 4 types of crises that can emerge, and there are 12 or 12 strategies under 4 main categories that a company can use in order to come up with an answer. And here you can watch more information about a strategy and the process for issues and crisis communication. You can also find the link down in the description below. Before checking other videos on my channel about corporate communication or marketing, I want to let you know that if you are an entrepreneur or a manager, in the links down below there is something that will help you a lot. I've created a communication plan, a marketing plan, and overall a business strategy by the book, exactly how the book say you should react and how you should build a real business plan, and you can download it in the links down below. There is a manual that will give you all the information you need to know about marketing, about communication, and about business overall to be able to come out with a business plan. And there is a notebook with step-by-step information to be followed in order to create all the business plans that you need for the company. It is really important that you should have a business plan when you have a new company or when you manage one. Therefore, check the links down in the description because it will help you greatly. Remember that you can also help me in the classical ways of liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and also leave a comment down below in the comment section. It helps me a lot with the YouTube algorithm. And of course, if you really want to support my channel, you can activate the membership options. It only costs $2, or you can buy me a coffee in the link right here. Because I drink quite a lot of coffee in creating these videos, I make the scenario with all the information, I film the videos, I edit the videos so you can watch them for free. All these thank you options are available for you, and I will see you at the next episode.